I'm making this video because I feel like it's good to just clear things up, at least when it comes to the whole what happened between the Ravens and Maxx Crosby and what truly was going on. Because when it first happened, a lot of people said the Ravens got cold feet about trading their picks away and they decided to rescind the trade. And then we're finding out that Crosby failed his physical, and even though people are saying the Ravens intentionally failed his physical, there was multiple doctors that went in and looked and said things just didn't look great, and the Ravens didn't want to spend two first round picks on a guy that they were still questioning if he was going to be healthy enough toward the regular season, because an injury like that, you just never know. And yet there are going to be conspiracy theorists out there that continue this narrative. Do I think the Ravens should have went about it in a different way? Yeah, like maybe the day that you verbally agreed to the trade with the Raiders, because that's another thing too. The Raiders are like pissed off, or we're hearing the Raiders are pissed off, but it was never an official trade. It was never like a done deal. A verbal agreement isn't an actual agreement. It was supposed to be made official Wednesday, but the physical had to get done first because those contracts don't get made official until the physical is done. And he was in the building. I understand that his family was there, and then all of a sudden that news came out, and we're here with this news. And then of course, because the Ravens supposedly quick pivoted to Trey Hendrickson, there was belief that the Ravens saw Trey Hendrickson's market slow down, so they were able to go and talk to him and agree to a deal with him, which thankfully he passed his physical. So we're all fine on that front. He was just officially made a Raven today, as were all the other players that recently signed over the past couple of days. And when I heard Eric DeCosta talk, I kind of got more of a clarity. People are saying, he's seems to be lying, this, that, and the other, but I really don't think he is, because from what I'm hearing, Trey Hendrickson was talking to the Ravens with Maxx Crosby in the building, and he was told that it was going to be him and Maxx Crosby there together, and that the Ravens were trying to poach both of them, and they almost succeeded in doing that. And that would have been even more humongous, because now you're getting two elite pass rushers, one in a trade and the other one through free agency, because your quarterback decided to restructure his contract to give you more cap space. But somehow, some way, the Ravens are still the bad guys for trying. And it's not like this is the first time that's happened in the NFL. And plus, the Ravens haven't been shy about this before. If they are not truly like actually comfortable with how your physical is, or how you're kind of slow with your health or getting back on track, they will rescindicate the trade. They will rescindicate the contract. They did it with Ryan Grant in 2018, although I thought it was an overpay at the time. Ryan Grant failed his physical, and that ended up being off. And then in 2020, we thought we had a 3-year, $30 million deal with Michael Brockers before there was something else in his physical that made us pull the contract, and he ended up not coming to the Ravens. I think he re-signed with the Rams at that point, played a few more years, and then retired. So this ain't the first time. Plus, I had heard of a story that I had never even heard of before, but apparently in 1997, we were trying to trade for Brock Marion, who was a corner back in the day, a pretty solid corner. And the trade, again, verbally agreed upon, was going to happen, but before it was made official, the Ravens saw something in his physical that they didn't like, and they pulled back on it. And Marion, yeah, sure, ended up playing a little while in the NFL, including playing the Ravens in the playoffs in 2001 as a member of the Dolphins. But the Ravens have shown before, pre-Eric DeCosta, because in 1997, that would have been Ozzie Newsome's decision. They've shown before that if there is any question about the physical, not necessarily the minor stuff, but if there's any major concern about certain parts of the health of the player they're trying to sign or trade for, that they will actually, I don't even know how to put this, I'm kind of drawing a blank here, but they are not afraid to pull the plug on it and go elsewhere. They have done that before plenty and plenty of times, and I guess the reason it's so big now is because it was a star player. And part of me also kind of blames the Raiders, because yeah, he's coming off that injury, and sure, you did the right thing and shut him down instead of trying to, let him play through it like he wanted to. But at the same point in time, if you knew there was still some concerns, then why didn't you let us know? I feel like that should be talked about. Why did the Raiders go along with this trade if they knew that there was some sort of, bigger medical issue in the picture, and now they're kind of stuck with him, even though he says he wants to stay a Raider and there's no hard feelings. The Raiders just seem so pressed to get rid of him. So to me, it's kind of a semi awkward situation because Crosby wants to be there, but it seems like the Raiders front office is still like, well, we can trade him, we can get these picks, but at this point in time, I just don't know if that happens because now you got the injury concern issue, and the other teams that were in on Crosby have kind of gone and pivoted somewhere else. So, yeah, it's a whole debacle, and I understand that there's all this stuff here, but I hate the fact that everything has to be such a conspiracy theory, and that when we actually get someone saying something, from both sides, that it ends up being, oh, they're just lying or they're just saying what you want to say. Because I get it. Sports is a business. Sometimes, players say or coaches say what they need to say. Like, oh, what you lost the game today. What do you think was the weak link in your team? Of course, most coaches are not, or players are not going to, call out their teammates or players, even though sometimes they should. They're going to, take responsibility, make it a team thing, even though deep down that they want to blame somebody so bad other than themselves if it is not truly their fault. And I don't know. I feel like with Eric Nacosta, people say he holds on to picks way too much, and that's just not true. We've seen him trade away picks. First round picks, no. But I've seen him trade away a second round pick for Roquan Smith, who at the time was one of the best linebackers in the league and still could be if Jesse Minter's defense fits him better, which I think it will. And he's given up other picks before that have netted some pretty solid players. So he's not afraid to give up draft picks. It's just you got to know that you got to be ready to go, and there can be really no question about your health. If there's something minor that can be worked through, then I'm sure it would have been fine. But the Ravens obviously saw something there, and there was more than one opinion that they got that said, yeah, this rehab or whatever's going on, this injury is lingering and it's not looking too good. And Eric Costa had to make the business decision. He really did. At first, I was mad at the Ravens, but now I'm just kind of like, you know what? Sometimes it just happens. It's how it works. That's why you take these physicals before anything is made official, because if you make it official beforehand and then this happens, it's just kind of like, well, then what happened? That's why I think if you're any sports journalist or broadcaster, how about before announcing these trades or these signings, make sure the physical is passed first, or God forbid, let the team that traded or signed for them, let them make it official, because that's when you know, okay, they passed their physical, they're going to be on the team, there's a picture of them signing the contract. Pretty much every team, NFL-wise, I know, does that. So let them do it. You guys can say, oh, they're interested in a signing could be happening soon, but we have to wait and see. Like, that's fine. But the fact that these sports journalists can come out and be like, yeah, trade's done, contract's done. It's like, well, no, it's not, because it's not official, because there's things that have to go down to make it official. And if it doesn't go down, well, then it can be null and void. And all I'm just saying to Raiders fans who are mad, get over it, because again, it was never a official trade, and the Ravens backed out of it, and that's just the end of that. And then people are pointing to the Jair Alexander trade last year when we traded him to the Eagles. We knew about his injury. The Eagles knew about his injury, and we paid him over I think it was like $880,000, or he paid them $880,000 because he didn't even take a single snap for them when he got there, as kind of like a thing of like, okay, well, I'm not playing, so here's most of my guaranteed salary back. So people saying we stiffed the Eagles on that, it's like, no. If you look more into it, you'll see that that's not true, and that stuff has happened before. I just don't understand why people are trying to make the Ravens public enemy number one when it's a business thing. And is there a little bit of like, you can potentially say that yes, Maxx Crosby was kind of screwed over, but it's not just the Ravens. It's the Ravens and the Raiders, because these two had a verbal trade agreement going on. There should have been more communication about Crosby's health, and there should have been more concern about it to where maybe the Ravens could have said, okay, well we can tweak this trade then. We can give you a first round pick for maybe a second round pick rather than two first round picks, or just find a way to work around it or something. Or in that case, the Ravens could have just went, all right, then I guess we're not interested, but thank you for letting us put our offer out there, and thank you for letting us know about the injury. We highly appreciate it. But I think both sides handled this worse than they should have. But I don't think anybody did anything wrong in the end here. I really think that it was just something that happened way too fast, and again, business decisions had to be made, and now both teams are kind of in their own little awkward situation. But hey, whatever. The Raiders signed all those free agents. They're allowed to, keep them those contracts as is, despite getting Crosby back and having less cap space. And the Ravens had Trey Hendrickson on their mind, and they always had him on their mind, even after trading for Maxx Crosby. They wanted him and Crosby together. Now that's not happening, but at least the Ravens still came out with Trey Hendrickson and get another elite pass rusher. But that's just my thoughts. I wanted to get that off my chest because it's just so. I'm so tired of people making up these conspiracies when they don't even know what's going on. And from all the stuff that I've looked up, yeah, okay, maybe the Raiders are mad at us, whatever, for this thing going on, but they got to look themselves in the face and say, we're kind of at fault for this too, because there probably should have been better communication and all this other stuff. And the fact that they were saying, oh, the Ravens did it because they just want to hoard their picks and they were having buyer's remorse, only to find out that our plan was to have Crosby and Hendrickson together. It's like, yeah, until you get your facts straight, how about you just keep your mouth shut? And that's about it. And again, to sports journalists, why don't we just stop announcing signings and trades before they're actually official, before the physical is taken? Let the teams that do it handle it and make it official before anything else, because then we get something like this and the whole sports world just goes into a frenzy. But yeah, that's it for me. I guess stay safe out there, and I will catch you all in the next one.